Hey everybody, and welcome back to Betty and Leon. On today's episode, we're back on the 808. Okay, so since it's been a little while since I've worked on the 808, because we've been racing and other things, just give you a little update. So I've continued on, and we've now pulled all the window regulators out, windows, all the trims off the car. I've set up a little table here now, so that when I pull those items off, I can kind of clean them up, wrap them in Glad wrap, and put them aside for reassembly later on. I feel like that's going to make us some time at the back end, so that's the way I'm rolling with it at the moment. Today's episode, we're going to be pulling out this awesome dash, which admittedly is a little bit cracked, but Rob's going to work some magic on that and it's going to look mint. And then moving on to the engine bay, we'll start cleaning that bad boy up. Obviously everything's got to come out of here. Then we're going to start looking at what holes can be filled, what areas can be smoothed, so that we've got a plan going forward. There's nothing worse than not having a plan when you're building the car, because all you'll end up doing is spending 5 years building the car. Ask me how I know that. I've been there before, and it will not happen with this car. So, talking about plans, Rob and I have been chatting about what we want this car to achieve, what we want it to be, and we've got three sort of criteria straight up. The first is it's getting new paint, and it's not going to be this color. So, I'm sorry boys, the purists are among us. You know, you probably don't want to hear that, but I think the color that we have chosen, or we like at the moment, is really going to be awesome. 2, it's going to have a custom interior. Rob has the skills that kills. He's going to be putting a custom interior into this. And I'm hoping he's going to try a few things that we haven't seen before, or take it to a level, you know, that you generally don't see in most street cars. Because after all, this is going to be a street car. 3, third criteria is we want it to turn a decent lap at Morgan Park. And I know that might sound crazy, but I'm of the opinion that we can get this car to ride nicely around town and still do I'm going to throw a conservative 1 minute 40 around Morgan Park on street tyres. So we'll see. There's a lot of cars that don't get around there in that quick. So, you know, we'll find out. That'll be part of the game. Anyway, enough talking as usual. I love to talk, but sometimes you just got to get in and get it done. Because I haven't played with many of the 808/RX3 variants, I really have no idea what I'm doing with this. So I'm just going to start pulling things apart, generally how you do with other cars. You know, it's always usually the glove box, the sort of radio or, you know, aircon panel, then the cluster, and then you should be able to get an idea of where the main mounting screws are for all of this extra dash stuff. We'll see how we go, but that's my thought process. I do have a manual upstairs for the RX3 808, so I can, you know, go consult that if I need to, but I mean, we should be right. We'll just keep undoing screws till they all fall out. I just stumbled across this with the glove box lid. It's still got the Mazda sticker that tells you what pressure you should inflate your tires to. That's pretty hilarious. 26 and 26 for 2 persons, or a full load, you go 28 in the rear. And look how tiny that rim size is. It's nearly a joke in this day and age, isn't it? Also got the center console kind of out. All of this has a lot of cables, as in like a Bowden sleeve connected to the back side. I'm thinking that this whole dash piece is going to kind of come off and allow me to get in there and underneath, but I guess I'll find out as we go. all traveling pretty good at the moment. You might see all of the wiring harness. I'm actually taping it up, letting myself know where it went from and where it's going to. And also where these, if you can see in there, hang on, get up in there, where these sort of cable clamps are living, I'm actually marking, you can probably see it up in there maybe. I'm actually marking them with a red electrical tape as well, just so that when we pull this out, it'll go back pretty close to or perfectly where it came out from, which it's all about reassembly really, all these little things. Tagging and bagging screws, you know, all that sort of stuff. It just makes a massive difference when you're putting the thing back together and you realize that, you know, these 4 screws went with this component or whatever it is. So, going pretty good. I'm happy. It's probably about 3 hours in though. I haven't had to use the manual yet, so I'm just winging it. Alrighty dudes, I'm down to the last nut, I think. So I'm gonna undo this one. And then hopefully the dash will all come out. The heater box, I think I've isolated it so that the heater box doesn't want to come with it. So therefore we can pull the dash out the wiring and pull the heater box out in a minute. But like I said before, I'm not confident because I have no idea what I'm doing at this point, apart from undoing things. That was my phone hitting the ground, so that was cool. It happens. So I think it's actually loose now. Let's have a look. Oh, that's looking promising. So I'm just having a little look at the heater core and how it comes out. Basically, you got to screw a nut here and a nut here, and then it should hopefully slide out. So obviously it all comes down through here, but I'm going to chop those hoses off. We're gonna put new hoses in it, so they're not really of value. And I'm going to pull out the windscreen wiper mechanism, which on this 808 RX3, Mazda obviously learned something from the RX2, because if you've ever done one in an RX2, honestly, I reckon I spent 3 hours putting one in one day, and it seems to be the common theme with a lot of people who rebuild their RX2s. It takes forever, but this looks really easy. It's got a couple of bolts and should just pull out, which is awesome. I kind of like it on this car though, to the old RX2 with the rear quarter panel, not rear quarter panel, the rear quarter glass in this window. Man, so hard to get out. So that's kind of like the RX3 808's RX2's wiper mech. It's pretty funny. It takes forever, and I really hate doing that job. So I just pulled the heater box out and I found this old cigarette. The old Winfield was up in the vents. It's pretty hilarious. Hi Damo, give me a lighter. Cigarette brain.
24 hours later.
Righty dudes, we're up to day 2 of stripping down this little bad boy, and let's have a look on the floor. There's the dash and all of the other pieces. Today we're moving on to this bad unit. So with the final car, we're going to have the battery in the boot. Probably going to relocate this little dude. We're going to get these out of the way. Going to run the wiring harness internally somewhere, somehow, so that it makes the engine bay nice and clean. Just do all those nice little tidy up things, because I think that's just what you should do with a road car these days. You know, take it that one step probably too far, but it's nice to have a nice looking car, well finished. Wiring harness in the engine bay is out on both sides. Something I think is really cool that Mazda did was basically make like a bulkhead connector on both sides to feed, you know, whatever the components were on each side. I think that's really smart, and it's something we're actually looking to do in both Leon and Betty with a mil-spec connector or a Deutsch plug or something, just for ease of engine in and engine out type deal. On this harness, we're going to have to get rid of a few things. So later on in the build, we'll be doing a bit of wiring, which I love wiring. It's right up my alley. I know it scares a lot of people, but, you know, all I would say is you've got to start somewhere, and you may be scared of it, but give it a go sometime. You know, start small, obviously. I wouldn't start by wiring a full ECU or doing something crazy like that, but little changes like, you know, moving your battery from the front to the back, or potentially, you know, wiring a fuel pump. They're all sort of small little challenges that you could give yourself. So in the harness, we've got fusible link. we'll probably get away from that and neaten it up with a newer style fuse. Coil obviously is on the right hand side of the engine bay in a 1600 Capella, so, or 1300, 1600, whatever it is. Yeah, we will need to obviously transpose that wiring to the left hand side of the car, because generally most rotaries, all the stuff's on the left hand side, and I think it looks neater for running coils, like coil leads and all that sort of stuff. So we'll have to transpose that guy across. And then on this harness over here, we've got this bad boy, which is the voltage reg. We're going to have to, because we're moving to obviously an alternator, which has an internal regulator, we can get rid of that sort of stuff. So that wiring harness as well will be essentially unwrapped, pull all the wiring out for that guy and neatened up, and also it gives you the opportunity to add, you know, whatever you need to do at that time too. So going to try and keep it looking as factory as possible while adding sort of some mod cons that will make the car drive and be a lot nicer. As you just saw, the battery box has just come out of it, and pretty happy. Usually, you know, you get a bit of rust around batteries because obviously the back in the day lead acid batteries. Yeah, this one, you know, it's rusty and obviously needs to be treated, but I'm pretty happy with that. Usually you find a lot of rust under there. My RX2, old Betty, when I first fixed her up, she had a heap of rust under there. It took a lot of time to fix that one, so that's pretty nice. It'll be good. We'll wire wheel it, treat the rust, and then should be good. I won't lie with you guys, the RX3s are growing on me, the 808s, the RX3s, whatever you want to call them, they're basically the same thing. I love this front grille. I think these are super cool. I've always loved RX2s, right? But the twin headlight and the pointy nose, it's growing on me. It's growing on me. We have some really good progress today, and let's just check. This is about the point where we're going to stop. I'm probably going to pull the bumper off after I finish with you guys, but we're now at the point where we can drag this back up the hill and start doing some paint stripping. We're going to pull all the hanging panels off, but that'll be in the next episode. So as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. I'm sorry it took so long to get another 808 vid. It won't be as long next time. Life gets in the way. You guys know that. Thanks for sticking with us.